if you happen to be interested in this like nerdy stuff here at the COP21, the text and how it's being negotiated, here is a 10-minute-ish video about how it looks at the negotiations and how it works. Enjoy.
I'm just wondering if we could entertain that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuvalu. Let me hear first from Saudi Arabia.
Thank you very much. See, I think the way you phrased it, Dan, is really good, that we're still in the exercise of dealing with the submissions of INDCs, and the Secretariat is going to do that exactly what they have done in the past. And it's helpful for all of us to see it in the website, where we can see what we are all doing. Now, if you were to try to tighten this a bit, to say, well, it's only limited to paragraph 12, as if you are prejudging what is going to be the mechanism for the future, when you do want to do that. So we prefer to just leave it as it is. Let's finish with the exercise we have at our hands now. And then for futures, then we can deal with it down the road, but not to really limit it to 12 at this point. I think the language as it is now suffice the objective, and I think let's continue the exercise and not complicate it going forward, because we don't know how is this going to be dealt with in other sections as referred to earlier. So we really want to see it as is. Thank you.
Malaysia, please.
Thank you, Co-Chair, speaking on behalf of LMDC. For the reasons explained by Sudan and the Africa Group and Saudi, the Arab Group, we also suggest that this be left as is for the moment. Thank you.
St. Lucia.
Thank you. I think that, again, we haven't resolved the lack of clarity, so we would request that all of paragraph 14 be put into brackets, and when we resolve in the substantive discussions on the agreement this issue about how future efforts will be brought forward and how they will be captured, then we can address this paragraph. But until that time, I believe this paragraph, to the extent it raises those ambiguities, should be bracketed. So we would specifically request brackets around paragraph 14. Thank you.
Well, thank you, St. Lucia. I thought that we were getting close to having something here, but I guess we're not. Although, let me say, in light of your proposal, I think we simply move the bracket from after website and we put it at the beginning of requests. And that to me is very important, because that way I don't introduce yet another bracket into this text. Is that acceptable? Australia, please.
Thank you and apologies for coming back again. I think, though I appreciate you're trying to minimise the number of new brackets, we've actually added a few more words into brackets if we do that. And I maintain that this does appear to be something that is a very straightforward thing. We are simply requesting that the Secretariat publish what they've provided. So I would think that in the interest of maybe moving on, perhaps we could at least agree that the Secretariat could do that. Thank you.
Trying to have self-restraint here. Again, we could do wonders if you would like us to, as far as making brackets and making insertions. But we really would want to not to get into that sort of exercise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, St. Lucia.
Thank you, Chair. I think that the reality is that this concept in this location at this time is problematic. So when we sort that issue out, the issue of housing in the agreement text, that's a proper sequence then to come back and have a think about whether we can do this in addition to the way we've tried to house things, or whether this is in lieu of, or what the relationship is. But the point is, this concept at this location, at this point in time, is a problem for parties that have other issues in another text, in another room. So from that perspective, this text either has to be completely bracketed or deleted. Some have said it's surplusage, some want to keep it, then we bracket the entire paragraph. But there is a problem here, and that problem needs to be reflected in the text through brackets at a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. Canada?
We're starting to be really worried at the pace at which we're going, because it's not even a pace. And so we're happy not having brackets added, like we would be really happy to delete paragraph 14. But for those who insist on having brackets because we don't know how we're going to solve like future potential INDCs, I would just draw your attention to the fact that the way the decision text is structured, like it's in part 3 that we have the provisions that would give effect to the agreement. So it's very clear that what we're dealing with here, it's not to give effect to the agreement, it's with what we are dealing with now. So regardless of the decisions that we will make in the agreement, it's not going to be addressed in this paragraph 14. So if there's ambiguity with respect to this, it's not the place to address it. This is clearly about INDCs that we're dealing with now. So that's why we thought it's not needed. But as a minimum, we don't need to add brackets. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Well, I have great sympathy with what you've said. Let me ask once again, because the Solomonic approach would be to delete this paragraph. Because with it, we delete the ambiguity, and the Secretary will continue to publish INDCs that are received in any event. So may I propose that we delete this paragraph? Thank you very much. All right. Let's move then to paragraph 15. Saudi Arabia?
Thank you very much. Which paragraph we're deleting, Mr. Chairman?
The one that we've been talking about.
We're talking about a lot of things, Mr. Chairman.
I know, I'm being facetious, I'm sorry.
Okay, if we're talking about 14,
Yes.
we do not agree to the deletion of 14, Mr. Chairman. The exercise has not been completed yet, and it's been ongoing. And Secretariat, we have built the culture, excuse me, in the Secretariat. We tell them what to do. So we've been telling them to do things for us. And there is one other thing, we tell them, do this for us. As you receive it, to avoid ambiguity, do this for us. So I don't see any harm in keeping it there. Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, unless you insist on this position, because I think we have strong agreement in the room that the best approach to this would be simply to delete this paragraph, because the Secretary will continue to publish INDCs that are communicated by parties on its website in any event, and simply deleting it lets us move on to another one. If you insist on keeping it, then we have to keep it in brackets, and you don't agree to the brackets, and then we're stuck. So this is I'm asking you if you would exercise flexibility and allow us to delete this paragraph, sir.
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. China, please.
Actually, I would like to suggest we keep the paragraph as it is now, because the way we deal with the ambiguity is not to delete it, because we have a lot of ambiguities and differences in this text. If we delete everything, we have ambiguities and we have differences, there will be nothing in this agreement. And this paragraph is related closely to a very important point that our group and my country have concern about. So I strongly suggest that we reconsider it and keep this paragraph as it is now, and allow further discussion among parties. Thank you.
Well, China, that's the problem. We can't keep this paragraph as it is, because we have one side who is insisting that if it's kept, it must be in brackets. And we have another side who's insisting that if it's kept, it not be in brackets. And so I can't keep it as it is. I'd like to know from you, would you prefer to have this kept in brackets, or would you prefer to see this deleted?
Kept it in brackets. Thank you.
So we keep it in brackets. Thank you. Now, I'm going to look around the room once more, because this is paragraph 14 we're talking about. And if there's any further discussion on paragraph 14, please raise your flag now. Okay, because now I'm going to move to paragraph 15. And I'm not going to come back to paragraph 14 this afternoon. Okay, very good. Thank you. Let us move to paragraph 15. Reiterates its call to develop country parties, bracket, and parties with economies in transition in a position to do so, end bracket, the operating entities of the financial mechanism, and any other organization in a position to do so, to provide support for the preparation and communication of the INDCs of parties that may need such support. The floor is open for discussion on this paragraph. There are brackets here. We have and parties with economies in transition in a position to do so in the first line. As we've done before, can we try to drop these brackets? Is there any objection to dropping the brackets around and parties with economies in transition in a position to do so? No? Very good. We'll drop those brackets then. No? Turkey?
Thank you. We want to delete the wording within the brackets, which is and parties with economies in transition in a position to do so. Because we think that all the economies in transition are not developed economies.
So what is your proposal, Turkey?
Delete the part within the brackets. So take it out of the text.
So the sentence would read, reiterates its call to develop country parties, the operating entities of the financial mechanism, and any other organization in a position to do so, to provide support for the preparation and communication of INDCs of parties that may need such support. Does anyone disagree with that formulation? Russian Federation?
Thank you very much. We would like really to retain this text in brackets, and if it is not possible to delete brackets, then please leave it as it is now.
So you're asking that we keep the part in brackets that says, and parties with economies in a position to do so. Retain that in this text. Okay. And you'd be prepared then to see the brackets removed from this phrase? So we could say, reiterates its call to develop country parties and parties with economies in transition in a position to do so, the operating entities of the financial mechanism and any other organization in a position to do so, to provide support for the preparation and communication of INDCs of parties that may need such support. That would be acceptable with no brackets in this paragraph. Very good. Is there any objection? Okay.
Well, first, our position is to delete the wording within the brackets. But if there is opposition in the room to delete it, then I mean we can keep it in the brackets. But what we want is to delete it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Turkey. The Russian Federation had requested that the language in brackets be retained. So there's not agreement to delete it. And what I was asking is if we can accept the paragraph as is with no brackets. Can we do that? Turkey?
Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm asking if you could accept to retain paragraph 15 with no brackets?
And I'm answering no. We want to retain it with brackets at least. Thank you.
Russia, can you agree to leave this alone? In other words, not to delete the brackets?